because I don't think it's on accident that so many people are in this very fearful state of the world, and on top of it feeling like they have nothing that they can do to help the world. Hey everybody, my name is Sarah Nowakowski and welcome back to Curious Rabbit Media. If this is your first time here, hit that like button if you are on Facebook, or hit subscribe if you are on YouTube, just to make sure that you stay tuned for new videos and articles that are to come. So today I want to talk about something that is really a big motivator for why I wanted to start Curious Rabbit Media and why I'm a big proponent for independent journalists altogether. The human brain is very similar and functions very similarly to the way that a computer functions. And in the same way that we can program a computer, we can also program our minds. And so we have to ask, who exactly is programming our mind and what is being programmed into our minds? There seems to be this notion that the more cynical a person is, the more grounded in reality they must be. And for anyone to dare believe that the world could possibly be getting better has to be considered a starry-eyed idealist. We are bombarded with news stories that really only ever highlight the darkest aspects of humanity and society as a whole. And this is something that is constant for us now. We have phones in our pockets that give us access to constant information, and like anything, this could be a double-edged sword. The amount of negative news that is constantly being put into our minds on a daily basis is warping the human psyche to believe that the world is getting worse each passing day, and on top of that, that there's nothing you and I can do about this. Many people find themselves in a place of fear, paralyzed will, and disempowerment, and I don't think this is by accident. We are being programmed to believe these things about the world and to believe that we have no power in changing or shaping the direction that we are heading in right now. If you are willing to even change your perception a little bit about your view of the world, we can move into the future with a sense of gratitude, optimism, and an eagerness and excitement to improve. The success of fear-based news relies on the brain's need to know what is dangerous around us. It can often seem as though the negative outweighs the positive in the world because our brains are trained to pinpoint and focus on the potential dangers in order to keep us safe and protected. The brain has developed the amygdala, which could be considered the fear circuit of the brain. This is where our fight or flight response comes out of, and this is what keeps us safe and helps us detect danger early on so that we know how to deal with it. Obviously, this has been vital in our survival as a species, but now it still works on overdrive in order to keep us safe. And with that, combined with the amount of information that we are constantly being bombarded with and consuming, it's giving us this constant state of anxiety that doesn't really need to be there. In order to gain and maintain attention, news outlets will put dramatic anecdotes in place of scientific evidence. They promote isolated events as trends, depict categories of people as overall dangerous, and replace optimism with fatalistic thinking. This does allow the brain to have a target in order to project our fears onto and give us a false sense of safety and protection. The media preys on this innate and instinctual fear in order to gain views and keep people coming back. The question that mainstream media is asking isn't how can we keep people informed, but rather how can we keep viewers coming back. The sensationalism that is constantly shown to us on most media outlets is warping our minds to what's actually happening in the real world. Whether or not the world is actually getting worse by the day, mainstream media will always make us believe that that is the case. Rather than being better informed, heavy news watchers become miscalibrated. There is a misperception of risk, increased anxiety, overall lower mood level, hostility towards others, and desensitization, just to name a few side effects of heavily consuming mainstream media. One big way that the media is affecting the way our brain is perceiving the world around us is due to something called the availability heuristic. The availability heuristic is a way for the brain to organize events and help us make decisions quickly and on our feet. It comes down to what information is most readily available to be accessed from our memory, and using that information to then inform the decisions that we're making. Obviously, this is helpful and not an overall bad quality to have, because none of us can do heavy research on every single decision we ever make. But this is affecting the way that we see and perceive the world based on what information we are consuming on a daily basis. The availability heuristic makes events that we are seeing on the news seem like they are increasing in likelihood, happening more often, and becoming an embedded part of our society. A perfect example of this is the media's coverage on road rage.
They're all around you, strangers in their cars, ready to snap.
A bigger problem than ever.
The trend is frightening.
A growing American danger.
This was something that was supposedly taking over America and happening all the time, and making people feel like they had to be fearful of just going out and driving to their day-to-day activities. Newsweek said that humanity was being led down a path of destruction due to angry drivers killing each other on the road. Mainstream news outlets like ABC, NBC, Fox, CNN all began to pick up on this story and were all reporting about road rage, making it seem like this was a really big issue in America. But reporters gave very few actual statistics to back up these claims, and it was very sensationalized of what was actually happening on the roads, making it seem like irrationally angry drivers was an overlooked epidemic in society. But upon further questioning and research, it was found that these claims weren't factual at all. There was one study done by AAA saying that the statistics of car accidents due to angry drivers were going up, but when AAA was questioned on this, they admitted that they actually exaggerated their claims and findings.
There's greater danger out there.
Yes.
If road rage...
Well, because that's what sells papers, of course. I mean, you're in the media, you know that if you get people excited about an issue, that's what makes it appealing as a topic.
The ultimate reason why this got picked up by so many news outlets was because it was a trendy story piece and got people viewing their shows. There was nothing really factual about this, and yet people actually believed that they had to be more alert and cautious and even scared to drive. This gives us a peek into just how much power the media has on our perception of the world around us. Rather than keeping the populace informed, mainstream media is warping the masses' psyche to feel disempowered, fearful, and cynical about the world around them. In a different world, the mainstream media could report on the monumental changes that are happening with humanity, like increased life expectancy. Human life expectancy has quadrupled over the last 3 years thanks to technological and medicinal advancements. Even the world's poverty population, which at one point was 90% of the world's population, has gone down to less than 10% after the industrial and now technological revolution within the past 40 years. 400 years ago, only 15% of the population were literate and could read and write. Now 80 to 90% of the world's population are literate. Even the average IQ score is increasing due to something called the Flynn effect. The average IQ score has been increasing by 3 points every decade during the 20th century. In many countries, the level of education that the average person is getting is increasing, and the internet is allowing people to have access to information more than ever before in human history. Humanity was always extremely fragmented and disconnected from each other, and now with the internet, we have connection with each other on a level that we have never experienced, and I think still are adjusting to and also very much take for granted. If you're wondering where I'm getting these statistics from, I highly suggest that you pick up the book Enlightenment Now by Steven Pinker. This is a great book, especially if you're feeling very cynical about the state of the world, because he goes into basically all of the advancements that we have made within the last 500 years or so, and it's really incredible and puts a lot of things into perspective because, as I've been saying earlier in this video, we are only really ever shown the very negative and dark side of humanity. And reading something like this really shifts your perspective into realizing that we are improving as a society as a whole. I'm not saying to put your head in the sand or to shut off the news altogether. I think that awareness is huge because so many people aren't even aware of how much information they are consuming that is negatively impacting them. And as I mentioned before, the human brain is so similar to a computer, and in the same way that we can program a computer to act a certain way, we can do the same thing with the human brain, with our minds. And it's very important that we're aware of what we are consuming on a day-to-day basis. And if you find yourself in a place where you're feeling extremely anxious about the state of the world and feeling very disempowered, like there's nothing that you as an individual can do about it, take a step back, and maybe that's a sign to do some type of media cleanse, whether that's taking it off of your phone, or if you're a TV watcher, to turn off the TV, because I really don't think that this is happening by accident. I really truly believe that we as individuals are so powerful, and we have the ability to create the reality that we want to see in the world. And especially now with the amazing advancement of the internet, we are connected on a level like never before, and we can do this together. I'm sure everyone knows divide and conquer is one of the most powerful ways to keep control of a populace. And the more that we are putting targets on each other's backs and feeling disconnected from each other, the more that we are weakening our power together. It's not that we have to put our heads in the sand or pretend like everything is rainbow and butterflies all the time, because it's not. And I know that that's not reality either. But for every problem that we are facing, I really believe that there is a solution. We do not have to sit with the status quo and say that this is okay. Be the change you wish to see in the world. You have the power to create the world outside of you that you want to see. Make sure that you're questioning what you are consuming. I really wanted to make this video to just bring awareness around what is happening, and hopefully it allows you to question what exactly you are consuming on a daily basis and why you have the perception of the world that you might have. Because I don't think it's on accident that so many people are in this very fearful state of the world, and on top of it feeling like they have nothing that they can do to help the world. Our power is being taken away from us on purpose. There is a constant evolution that is happening that we are all a part of, and you could either be complacent and stay in a place of fear, or you can take your power back and realize that you don't have to put up with the status quo. Stagnation simply cannot be present where life is, and it's up to you to decide what part of this process you want to be a part of. I'm here to remind you that you as an individual hold so much power, not only to create the reality that you want to live in your own life, but to see out in the world what you want to see. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment below too about what you think about this, what you think about mainstream media as a whole and how it's affecting the human mind. Don't forget to hit that like button if you are on Facebook to stay tuned for new videos, or subscribe if you are on YouTube, and I will see you again soon. But until then, stay curious.